This week I got to create an over-the-top gorgeous unicorn cake loaded with meringue pops and mini meringues. I'm starting off with two 6-inch chocolate orange flavour cakes. They've been left completely cool in their tins, so I'm going to use my cake leveller to divide each one in half and then remove the tops. I always simple syrup my cakes. This keeps them lovely and moist throughout the decorating process. If you're not sure what it is or how you make it, I'll link my video on all things simple syrup above. After letting it soak in for about 10 minutes, I can begin to build the cake. I've popped a 10-inch cake board on my turntable, and I've also made up some delicious chocolate orange buttercream to go with the cake. Smear a little buttercream on the board to stop your cake from moving, and you can start building and filling your layers. This cake is going to be covered in colourful buttercream, so I'm going to crumb coat my cake in vanilla so that the chocolate cake doesn't show through and it gives me a nice clear base to work on. Chill in the fridge for half an hour and add another layer to completely cover the cake beneath. I've made up some pink, blue and purple buttercream, the perfect unicorn colours, and I'm going to add them in 3 sections on the cake. You can use a piping bag if you find it easier, but I prefer to use an offset spatula, plus I'm saving on plastic, so I'm even happier. Once you've added all your buttercream, smooth out the sides, filling any gaps and re-smoothing as you go. For the top, pull in the buttercream from the edge into the middle and get it as smooth as possible. If you've got some lines you just can't smooth out, you can place cling film on the top and gently rub over with your fingers. Just make sure it's wrinkle free or you'll end up adding marks instead of taking them away. If you've seen some of my other videos, you'll see me using this method to cover the board once the cake is already on there. I simply roll my fondant out and put it into a U shape. Roll it as wide as the bit of board you want to cover and long enough to go all the way around. Next, clean up the inside edge so it sits neatly against the cake and dampen the board with just water using a brush. Transfer your fondant over starting in the middle. Make sure that this is the front of your cake and move on to the sides. Where the fondant meets at the back, trim away the excess and gently rub over the seam to hide it. Finally, cut away any hang-off by running a knife around the edge and give a quick run around with the fondant smoother to buff out any imperfections. I'm going to be using this PME Fun Fonts kit to imprint the name onto the fondant while it's still nice and soft. This kit has both uppercase and lowercase letters, and the letters also have a handy little line on the back to help position them correctly. It can be a little trickier on round cakes, but you just have to adjust as you go. To use, you gently push them into the fondant and carefully remove. You don't want to go all the way down to the board though, just enough so it creates a well that we can paint in and you can see the letters clearly. Now the name is imprinted, I'm going to use this Rainbow Dust Edible Metallic Light Gold paint and a number 1 brush to fill in the letters and really make them stand out. I don't have the steadiest hand, but any little bits that do go over can be easily neatened up with a clean brush dampened with water. Here I've drawn myself a unicorn template that is the same height as my cake. I'm going to use this to cut around and make my fondant unicorn. I've also added in some Tylose powder to my fondant to make it harden quicker. To make sure that it curves around the cake when I transfer it over, I'm going to lay it over the same size cake tin with a few layers of kitchen towel to mimic the layers of buttercream. Hopefully it will sit nice and snug onto the cake. I'm going to prep a few more decorations that I want to harden up a little before I add them, including a star lollipop, a unicorn horn, an ear, some small stars and flowers to put in the hair, and then the age to go on top of the star. Now I'm just using some PME Edible Luster Spray to really make the gold pieces shine. It gives such a lovely even layer and it dries quickly too. All my fondant pieces have hardened, so I've made myself up some royal icing and I'm applying a good amount to the back of the unicorn head as I don't want this moving anywhere. As the horn is a little more 3D, I've had to carve out a bit of the cake so it can sit flush with the face. It also keeps it a bit more secure, so I'm happy it won't fall off. I'm adding in a simple eye by rolling some black fondant into small strips and placing like so, not forgetting those lovely long eyelashes. Finally, I add the ear and I can begin on the hair. I've used colours to match the cake and also added in some yellow as a pop of colour. I simply rolled out small pieces of fondant and tapered at the end for the curls of the hair. Lastly, I'm adding some flowers and stars into the hair and the unicorn is complete. For the toppers to this cake, I made some meringue pops and mini meringues in pastel pinks and whites. If you'd like to see how I made these, I'll link the video above. Starting at the back, I used the largest pops to cascade down towards the front. I then used my mini meringues to add decoration to the board and fill in any gaps on top. I finished off the cake with this beautiful complementary purple ribbon and made these cute unicorn cupcakes to match. I made the ears and horns in the same way as the main cake and used some leftover buttercream to pipe colourful swirls all over the top. You could also bag up any extra mini meringues as party favours or make extra meringue pops to tie in with the cake like these. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial as much as I did making it, and please do consider subscribing to my channel for more videos.